Hi there, I'm Fire, and you're listening in on Fox's Topics. Today we're joined by my co-host, Binks. Today's topic question is what shapes me? In this podcast, we'll be talking about what this topic means, why this topic is important, and what other people have to say on it. Now, onto our first topic question. When you ask someone what shapes them, what do you think they'd answer? Would it be about their life experiences? How about troubles from their past? They could even take it literally and tell us how they're born, but I don't think that's what any of us had in mind. Now, those are all valid answers. But what I think when I hear someone ask me what shapes my life, I think back to the time where I finally found out how life can be tough. My whole family was gloomy. From that day on, I promised myself I'd be the one who keeps the fire burning and keep the cold away. Metaphorically, of course. To me, this topic means what decision you've made along your life that has greatly impacted how you are today. I believe it's important because they have nothing to shape what you do in life, and nothing changes at all. Well, let's tune into our first interviewee and see what they have to say. Hi there! Do you mind telling us your name?
Yep, I'm Lena Kirkendall. I use she, her, they, them pronouns.
Nice to meet you. Welcome to my podcast. I'm going to be asking you some questions, if you mind.
No, I don't.
Alright, my first question is, well, we're talking about, the topic today is what shapes people. I wanted to know, what do you think that topic means?
What it means to me, I usually think about it in terms of like both just things, but also like the ways that things shape people. So like I can say some things that have shaped me, or like I guess yeah, I can say like my friend groups, or like the kind of content that I like to watch, or the kinds of schools that I've gone to. But I can say that like my friend groups in the past have shaped me because of like the way they've treated me. So it's like on one hand, like it can be very general, but it also can get very specific.
Awesome. Why do you think this topic is important?
Personally, I've been reflecting back on myself, just in this past year about who I've been like kind of before high school, and I do a lot of that just in general. But I think it's important to look back on what has shaped you to kind of know how you can go forward, because sometimes you can be shaped negatively, and it's good to like go back and wonder like, hey, what happened that did that? What shaped me to be like this, and how can I like change that? It's also good to see what kind of good things have shaped you, because you can like go and experience that in the future and more things like it. So
Nice. If you don't mind me asking, what are some things that have shaped you?
some things that have shaped me. I think my biggest thing is I've been a kind of just like a performing kind of kid since like forever. I know I can pretty, yeah, I can pretty like assuredly say that it's because of my mother when I was very, very young. The way she would get me to do a lot of things as like a cranky little toddler that wouldn't respond to anything is like sing a bunch of songs. And she'd sing a song for like every activity, for like putting my clothes on or going to the grocery store, brushing my teeth, going to school. And I think it just kind of like planted like a music gene in me or something. So I'm still here being an art kid. I'm surrounded by art things at the moment. My desk is crazy messy. There's paint right in front of me. But I think it started from there, and ever since then I've been somewhere on some sort of stage making some kind of thing, and I think that's just getting into art things in general. I feel like when you're like an artsy kind of person, it's very easy for you to be surrounded by like some pretty good people, because a lot of people that are into art, I feel like are pretty, I don't know how to like describe it, but just very lovely people. We can put it in that way, because I don't want to be too specific, but
That's okay.
yeah. Yeah, and I think that's directed me towards a lot of like my friends in my life, and just a lot of the things I've chosen to do. So that's like one of my really big things.
What type of art do you specialize in drawing?
Um, what do I specialize in? My big thing has always been when I was little, I wanted to be a ballerina, and I quickly grew out of that because I realized it's way too hard. It's more effort than it looks like every time. But my main thing now is really live theater, acting, and that's what I love to death. When I get older, I want to be like a director for kids, and I want to direct a lot of like student-led camps and things so that kids can make their own stuff because I feel like that's more important than just directing some sort of script on my own. It's good for practice in acting, but I feel like it's more important for young people to get their voices out. So it's kind of been a thing for me for a long time. I also kind of want to do songwriting because that's just really interesting to me. But I'm a bit of a jack of all trades, so just not a lot of 3D stuff. Don't ask me about wood. Don't ask me about clay.
That is understandable.
It is.
What are the things that have recently happened impacted you?
Oh, what has recently impacted me? Oh gosh, I really want to think about this. Obviously, the pandemic has kind of shaped everyone in different ways. I think having to go online for a lot of things and having to like talk to people not in person with the school part of it, it's made me a lot more responsible for myself, and I've been able to like really look after myself a lot more instead of relying on, obviously my parents to remind me of things and help me get things done. It's helped me kind of grow as a student. Socially, I think I've kind of learned to cherish my relationships with people a lot more. And I have just one friend, actually from Avanti, if you know Taz. We, she's like the only non-family member I'm allowed to be like physically around. She's like my quarantine buddy. So it's made me really like cherish having that, and just like I just want to go back to having a big friend group again, like I used to. Even if I didn't really, even if I don't, even if I look back and I don't really like how my friend group was before, I wish I still had like that kind of thing going on. I don't know if there's anything else.
Has anything negatively affected you?
Has anything negatively shaped me? I want to say that it's definitely like killed my motivation a bit. I mean, not even a bit, a lot. Where it's like, it'll pass, but it feels like you can't get anything big done when you can't go see people and get, any word out about anything, and you can't interact and like come up with ideas. You can't do like those sort of things anymore. You don't feel like you can do a lot of big things. So like when you want to do something big, it's like you feel like you have to do it on your own, and I feel like it's really, really discouraging for a lot of people, especially for people who like run businesses and stuff. That's like the big exaggerated version of that, but it's very real. So I feel really bad for them, knowing my motivation is like so low, and then they have like real stressors, like literally going bankrupt. That's horrible to think about.
Definitely. Well, thank you for taking time out of your day to answer these questions.
Yeah, of course.
Any last minute remarks?
I don't think I really have anything more, but thank you for interviewing me, and I guess have a good night then.
You too. Wow, what wonderful answers! Thank you so much, Lena, for coming to our podcast. Now, before we move on, the news has some info to share. Thank you, Fox Topics. Today we have some important news about the election. After many days of counting, we have finally gotten the conclusion that Joe Biden has won the election. Now, some people might be disappointed, some people might be ecstatic. That's not our place to tell. But we sure are here to give you that news. Now, back to you, Fox Topics. Thank you, News, for the update. Now, it's time for our next interviewee. Hello, can you please tell me your name?
Yes, my name is Jordan Rice, and I go by she, her pronouns.
Nice to meet you, Jordan. The topic I have chosen is what shapes people. What do you think this topic means?
Okay. So I think what shapes me, your memories, like people who you've been surrounded by. Like, take our example of childhood friends. Like, you've had people who you've like came up to you and asked, "You want to be my friend?" And then you slowly build up your bond with them, and you create memories with them, and that shapes you because you're both. Sorry,
Oh no, it's okay. You're doing great.
you just you both grow. You both creating memories together, and you're both feeding off of each other's energy. You both learn, like, you're learning new things too. And I also think it's knowledge too. Like, if you take books for example, um, you learn something. It gives you imagination too. Fantasy books, they give
Hmm.
you imagination and they make you create your own stories in your head, like different scenarios. And I love that. I love creating different scenarios because it's such a relaxing way to calm down, and it's just fun to create. And it's just fun to do that. But sorry.
That's a great way to put that. Thank you. Why do you think this topic is important to some people?
Um, I think it's important is you're reflecting back on your life. You're reflecting on your choices. They are good or bad. You're thinking about how did I come to this to be me today from my past. And so you're looking in your past memories that you had, and it's just ongoing and going. It'll make you sad and it'll make you happy, or it will make you mad. That's just how you've grown up. It's your way of knowledge and your way of life, basically.
Wow, that's a really good way to put it. Thank you. If you don't mind me asking, what are some things that have shaped you in your life?
Oh God. I this will be difficult for me to explain because I am overwhelmed with negative memories at the moment.
That's okay, I understand.
I will try to pick out the positives that have happened.
Positive or negatives, this is a open podcast.
Yeah, but oh God, let's see if a positive memory can come up. Oh, snow. Snow has always been something I have loved, and snow. I've been in snowstorms a lot. Snowstorms can be scary or could be fun for some people, but I've always found them amazing to look at. Because it's just I don't know how to explain it. Oh, it's calming towards me. I think it's probably the scenery that I see, but it's calming to me. Sorry, it's hard to explain.
Snowstorms are quite beautiful. Have you ever heard of singing ice?
Uh, no, I haven't.
You should look it up. I think you'd like it.
But I'm gonna throw in a negative one.
Yeah, go ahead. I was just about to ask you if you were open to share some more.
Okay, so okay, a negative experience I have is in seventh grade. I'm not gonna disclose the names because I do not want. I do not like would want to make them uncomfortable if they hear it.
That's understandable.
But I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but if you're in a group and the other people say, "Oh, you're our friend. You can come talk to us whenever you want. You can start the conversation, and you're welcome here." But yet, when you do, they ignore you. They don't even they're rude to you when they do finally answer. But they always talk about your plans in front of you, And I don't know but it's probably just me, but that can destroy your heart a lot. Like it can make you feel empty for the longest time. It'll make you stop doing what you love. And I am still on that experience because it was the entire seventh grade for me. So but I have gotten better about that. But yeah, that was just horrible.
I totally understand what you mean. Thank you so much for sharing your personal experiences.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for joining me in this interview. Your input is greatly appreciated.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Jordan. I absolutely loved your responses. Now, let's have a word from our co host. Thank you, Binks. Now, on to our next interviewee. Hello there. Do you mind telling us your name?
My name's Cecily Schmidt.
Nice to meet you, Cecily. So, we're talking about the topic of what shapes you. What do you think this topic means?
Oh, that's such a good question. Gosh. I think it means the influences and experiences in your life that help you determine who you become as a person. And some of that I think is maybe we're conscious of and we make choices about um, preferences and things we like and who we are. And some of that stuff is not as conscious and it just is part of like who we become based on things that we don't necessarily control, like our family, our genetics, the space in which we grew up, and what was going on around us as we were growing. I guess that's the short answer. It's kind of a big question.
Yeah. what what about this topic do you think is important to people and why it's used in so many different things?
I think it's really important because I think when you start thinking about it and really digging into what it is that has shaped you as a person, when we do that for ourselves, we start to understand ourselves in a deeper way. And then I think from that place of understanding ourselves, there's an easier bridge to understanding other people, which I think is really important, especially in the world we live in right now, where there's a lot of division and misunderstanding. To be able to reach out and understand and have empathy for other people, I think it starts with understanding ourselves.
Awesome. And if you don't mind me asking, what do you think shapes you throughout your life?
Ooh, boy. Gosh, that's a good question. Well, the first thing I think about is my family growing up, and so I grew up in a family that really valued fairness, I guess, and also, I guess we did a lot of traveling as when I was young, especially in the summers. My parents both worked in school, so we had summers off, and we did traveling, and I did a lot of stuff outdoors. So we were in nature a lot. We went camping a lot, and I think that that's really shaped me um, because I love to be outdoors. I feel most alive when I'm like in the woods or out in nature. Um, and I love like camping and hiking and moving around, moving my body, being recreational, especially in the outside world. Um, so that's been a huge thing. And then I think also just like both my parents, like I said, worked in school, so education was really important. And obviously, I've become a teacher. I really value education, and I continue to want to be a learner. And I'm really curious about the world, and I think that comes directly from being in a household of educators. Um, yeah, and then art, I've always been interested in art, and I continue a lot of the friends that I have. I'm really drawn to like creative people who are artists in some way, and I think that's really shaped me too, more as an adult. Just the people that I've been drawn to have really inspired me artistically and creatively.
That's awesome. Are there any world events that have affected you throughout your life?
Yes. So the first thing that pops to my mind, actually, that I remember, just thinking back to my youth, I remember I being like a sophomore in high school, and the Iraq War happened, and I was really affected by it. I was really upset and scared, and I really had some strong feelings against it. And I got into some like arguments with some of my friends at school about it, and it was the first time that I actively like participated in protests. Um, and then, from there, there's been all sorts of things. Like, I mean, the first time I was able to vote, that I felt like was a really important milestone. The events of the September 11th terrorist attack in New York, I was, let's see, I was, I can't exactly remember how old I was, but I was like in my mid 20s, early mid 20s, and it just really sort of rocked me to the core that happened on our soil, and really changed America as I knew it. And yeah, I mean, those are the big ones in terms of like big events. And then I would say like right now, obviously,
Yeah,
is probably the next thing.
how do you think that those different world events affect how everything's now and what's happening in this current time?
Um, yeah, it's interesting. I was born in 1976, and the first real president that I remember was Ronald Reagan. And since then, and he was like one of the first Republicans for a while. And since then, there's been a shift toward conservative politics in the country, with the exception of the Obama administration and maybe Clinton a little bit. Um, and I think that it's just gotten more and more. Um, there's been the wealth gap has grown a lot larger in my lifetime, and I've seen that happen, where rich people have gotten a lot richer, and people without they've grown, and there's been a lot more poverty um, and just heartache and hardship that has happened to a lot of people. And so I think that that's been a direct result of um, that philosophy of politics that basically, I don't know if it started with Reagan, but Reagan definitely propelled it. And so I think I've just seen that happen quite a bit. There's been a lot more focus on like corporations, and corporate power and the power of business, and not as much on humans and human needs. And I think we're seeing it like the pinnacle of that right now. And my hope is that it's starting to shift and move back towards caring for each other and for the planet, hopefully.
Well, thank you for coming to the interview.
Yeah, boy, those were some big questions.
Well, thank you all for tuning in and sharing some of your amazing experiences. We really appreciate it. Today's topic had amazing answers. Don't you agree, Binks? Well, that's all for today. Tune in with us next time on Fox's Topics.